If you want to learn how to achieve that nice looking puff, I'm gonna give you guys 3 quick tips to make sure that you nail it. The first tip is gonna be, when you're adding the additive to your ink, you have to make sure that you add it a little by little. They usually recommend 10%, but it always ends up being more. So one thing that I do is, first of all, I don't mix a full bucket because we don't use puff a whole lot. And unless you have a repeated customer, then you want to mix a lot so that the ratio, once you figure it out, stays the same for every single time they reorder. But I usually don't mix a whole lot of puff. So that's the first thing you want to do. You want to figure out the correct ratio, and in order to make sure that you put the right amount, you're going to run a test print. And on your dryer settings, you want to keep the heat the same as normal, but you want to speed up the belt a little bit, because with that heat, that puff is going to rise and then go right back down if you have it too hot. So you want to make sure that you speed up the belt so that as soon as that puff rises, it comes off the dryer and it's good to go. So be very careful with that. So you have to run a couple of test prints. I did this morning and I'll show you. So first print, no puff, sped up the belt, got a little bit puffier. And then I finally decided to go a little bit faster, and it finally gave me that effect that I wanted. So that's very important. The last tip that I'm gonna give you is how to print it. I don't have a white base underneath this print, so let me just go over there, set up the camera, and show you how I print this to achieve that nice looking puff. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna warm up the pallet, which I already did, and we're printing the back, so let's load our t-shirt. And what we're gonna do with the first print is we're gonna run about 2 or 3 strokes with pressure so that not a lot of puff goes in, but it's gonna create a nice base for us so that when we throw in the second layer, we're gonna run it with less pressure and it's gonna let that ink sit right on top of that base print. Okay. Now, it's not that bright, but it's okay, because all we're doing is basically creating an underbase for that puff print. So, right now, while it dries, it's not gonna cure, it's just gonna be like a quick flash dry. And then we're gonna bring it back and make sure that the second hit, we're gonna put it a little bit slower so that the ink sits right on top of that base. And we're doing this on a 110 mesh. So, that's very important, remember that. The second hit is gonna give us that nice bright pink. It's gonna be nice and even, flat all the way. I don't like to put a lot of glue on the board so that when I pull out the shirt, it doesn't stretch out the design. And that's basically it. We're gonna run it through the dryer. I'm gonna show you guys how it looks as it's coming out. And that is how you achieve I would say a perfect puff print. I hope you guys enjoyed today's tip on how to print the puff. I gave you guys 3 simple steps. We have to figure out the speed of the belt. We have to make sure that we have the right ratio of the additive into the ink. And then we also have to make sure that we print with enough pressure for the first print of the t-shirt. And for the last one, we have to make sure that we print with enough pressure on the first hit, flash it, and on the second one, make sure that we loosen the pressure. So keep those in mind, put them to practice. You might not get it the first time, but like myself, you know, I ran a couple of test prints, and this is gonna happen every single time that puff comes around, unless, like I mentioned earlier, you have a repeated customer and you have like a gallon mix ready to go. You know your speed, you know how to print it, and everything should be nice and smooth. But if that's not the case and you have to mix little here and there, then obviously you wanna make sure that you go through all the steps to make sure that you get the right ratios, the correct speed, and nail it every single time. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe if you haven't, drop a comment if you think that puff came out looking nice. I definitely love it. My customer is gonna be in love with it. They're going to the Pot of Gold Festival this weekend, and this merch, well, a lot of the merch that I have here for them is for the event. So they offer tickets. I don't know if I'm gonna go because I'm busy here at the shop, but maybe I'll just sneak in and sneak back out. So thank you guys for watching once again. We'll see you in the next one. Share the video if you think it's gonna help a fellow screen printer.